What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So there is no surprise that Pokemon Champions is going to be kicked off with Mega Evolutions, and in this video we're gonna go over every single Mega Pokemon and Mega strategy that you guys could use to be successful in the game. And not only that, we have Slim the veteran over here.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. My name is Slim. Yeah, I've been playing Pokemon since about the end of 2016. I've been to Worlds, qualified for Worlds 2 years. I forgot which years. Top 8'd, 2 regionals. So I'm pretty good source of information when it comes to this. So I'm glad that you had me on here to share my knowledge.
Now, I'm glad you actually came through. Anyways, let's get started with the Pokemon, the Mega Evolutions that are confirmed. So we're going to have Charizard, the both variants Y and X. We're going to have Gengar, Kangaskhan, Dragonite, Feraligatr, Scizor, Tyranitar, Gardevoir, Metagross, Garchomp, and Lucario are definitely the ones that are going to be in the game. Now, that being said, we can't ignore the ZA new Mega Evolutions. Slim, I'm gonna let you take that one.
So far, the Mega Evolutions we've gotten from ZA actually kind of it's interesting because I think a lot of people weren't really expecting it, and we're still waiting to see, okay, how can we incorporate this and how do they match up versus, the all-stars, like the Kangaskhan's, the Dragonite, I think, is one of the new ones, but like Dragonite's always been a mainstay, especially in the most recent generations with Inner Focus and Extreme Speed and Terra. So seeing it get a Mega, everybody's kind of like got a kind of eye perked up, kind of like, okay, let's see what we got. But Metagross, Kangaskhan, Tyranitar, Gardevoir have always been mainstays. Those are the ones you always see. Like, we're trying to see how much they'll kind of match up into those. And of course, you have Chespin, you have everybody's favorite Greninja got a Mega, which I think a lot of people are looking forward to. And of course, we do have Delphox, which everybody was kind of like really surprised, and it was like, oh, okay. But the question is, like, we need to know what the abilities are to see how they really work, even though I think for something like a Greninja or a Chespin's definitely always going to be more of a balanced type, very much slow, very tanky, but it can hit hard. Whereas in Greninja, usually you can run it mixed, or you could just run it offensively for special attacking, which might be the case to what we see from ZA ranked, even though it's very different in VGC.
But we did have the Delphox with Levitate. It was revealed in one of the Champions videos. And what do you think about that mix?
That one I was kind of surprised at. I mean, I do understand, something that hits as hard as Delphox needs some kind of an immunity, which is kind of nice because now you don't want to normally start off with Delphox, even though like I can see a pairing of like Delphox and Didi, and if it has expanding force, that is an immediate powerhouse threat. And if you don't have to worry about ground types, it makes it easier because you can always follow me away the damage. But it also gives you a defensive pivot, which a lot of people don't think about, which is I think is the most key point here, because I can immediately like, oh, I see a Garchomp, or I see something I know spams Earthquake or even Earth Power, I immediately switch into that slot, giving me a free pivot. So I do think it's pretty good. I would have loved maybe a different ability, something to keep on the pressure, but I mean, hey, an immunity is an immunity, so you're always going to take advantage of it where you can.
Of course. And honestly, I'm really interested. I know you said this before in the Mega Meganium and Mega Feraligatr. I want to see how they really will interact with this format.
Oh yeah, I think that's one of the question marks a lot of us VGC vets are kind of looking forward to. Feraligatr, not so much, because you're only gonna play it one way. It's a physical attacker. It's not really that fast, but it hits like a truck. But the one issue is it gaining that dragon typing, and VGC, fairies are the ones who kind of control everything. Fairy typing ever since its inception has been one of the strongest typings, and it really hasn't slowed down. It hasn't gained any weaknesses, any resistances, so it's just kind of always going to be there. So anything with a Dazzling Gleam or Moonblast is going to hit really, really hard. The water typing is great, but like I said, the dragon typing not so much. Whereas in Meganium, grass is always kind of be where it needs to be because water types are very annoying to deal with. But gaining that fairy typing is huge because now you can kind of sit in front of things and spam Moonblast. And of course, you have a grass move for coverage for any water types that want to come in and tank. That right there, I think, is one of the potential premier winners. But it will, of course, depend on what the ability is. But I think Meganium can definitely be a day one of VGC champions. Would be like, oh yeah, you're gonna see Meganium teams for sure.
Yeah, that now that you're speaking about this a little bit more clear, I'm just like I'm really excited to build around Meganium because it sounds actually really good. You have the strongest typing, as a subcategory, and you have grass to deal with all the water. So low key is kind of superior.
Yeah, it's one thing that I think a lot of people kind of like always needed. Like you want a grass type, but you don't necessarily want the poison aspect. You want kind of the best of both worlds, and Meganium potentially gives you that because now you don't have to run a fairy type. You literally have one right there, so you have the options where it's like, cool, I have a strong grass type. She's pretty thick, and she can kind of hang around there, and I don't need to mega immediately. So that way you can play some games there. It's like, oh, you have a water type. You can't sit in front of me, so you already have to change. And depending on what you pair Meganium with, like you cover a lot of ground just off lead.
That is true. Yeah. It's just like insane. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, because imagine just like another Mon that we talk about that did get a mega. I don't know if it's gonna be confirmed to be in Champions or whatever or anytime soon, but Heatran. Imagine you just have a lead of like Meganium and Heatran. That covers so much right there. You have the Steel typing, you have the Fire typing, and it knows Earth power. Then you also have Fairy subtyping if you mega, and you also have Grass. So even the water types that want to come in and deal with the Heatran, oh, Meganium checks that immediately. Like there's so many combinations you can pair with, and if you have like let's say another water typing in the background, let's say a Rotom Wash, I can immediately sub out Rotom Wash already. It has a levitate, so it's like okay, cool. Like there's so many options where you can build amazing balance teams with Meganium. So I think that's one of the slept on stars of all the new megas.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. But we can't ignore the fact that Dragonite, Mega Dragonite exists. We got Mega Raichu X and Y. I'm kind of excited for the Y one. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that one I was pleasantly surprised, but I think Raichu's always been kind of like one of those like low-key fan favorites. Everybody loves Raichu, and if anybody remembers VGC history, Raichu is one of the reasons that Wolf Glick is Wolf Glick because he paired it with Rayquaza, and the Lightning Rod was really kind of like it played a huge integral part in that meta because you had Kyogres, you had all these other things. When you have Lightning Rod that can like redirect like that, and then also having a fast fake out, you will always find utility for Raichu. But now that it has a Mega, potentially you can not even have to be support. You can kind of be the star of the show, but we'll have to see kind of where it breaks down as because I think maybe the special version, the Y version, might be a little stronger than the physical because Intimidate is still one of the best abilities in all of VGC. But I do think this is a huge potential here for Raichu lovers to kind of like, hey, I don't need to play support anymore. I can be the star of the show. So it's going to be interesting.
I'm not gonna lie, I did steal that strategy from Wolf. Every time, like
Yeah.
with that lightning rod, it was like insane how it was good meta call. And not to mention, we do have Darkrai, Mega Darkrai. There's Mega there's so many. It's insane.
Yeah, right. Darkrai, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of nightmare fuel. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna see it just because normally it's Darkrai is in a really weird space where it's not the most regular Pokemon that always comes out with like every generation or so. So I don't know if it's necessarily gonna be in there just yet with the other megas, but I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do. I mean, because I remember it's one of the only few things that can use Dark Void, which let's not go back to those days because that was a really tragic time. So
not at all.
hopefully, like no one's trying to go back to that. But I am interested to see if like when it is available, will he play and in what fashion?
Yeah, because there's also Absol Y, right?
Yeah, Absol is very interesting because it gained a with the Mega gained a flying typing, which is kind of odd. I was like, okay, I don't really know what it's going to do because no matter which version of Absol or in any generation, Absol's always been kind of like very, very niche. It's nice, but it was very much like a glass cannon, so it was hard to like. In VGC, you want something that either A, I can offensively run through you as fast as possible, or B, I have staying power. So it's not really known for that. So I'm I mean, but like, luckily now there's a bunch of different creative people in VGC, and a lot of the players really like have learned to think outside the box. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tried it just to see if it can work, but my hopes are not too high for Absol, unfortunately, just because it's just too niche and the stats don't really help it too much, you know?
Yeah, unfortunate. But overall, I kind of want to transition this into basically let's talk about like the types of teams that we could build with these mega Pokemon. And when I say that, I mean like the existing ones that, they're obviously were previous meta games that we already have had with Mega Evolutions, and with Pokemon ZA promoting Mega Evolutions and TCG promoting Megas. So I feel like we're gonna go back into these same strategies, but like at the same time, we could take what we learned from the past and apply them in the present. And as the game comes on, there'll definitely be a little bit of tweaks here and there. But based off the knowledge we have already, let's talk about these teams. We could start off with Hyper Offensive.
Oh yeah, hyper offensive. I mean, that one's gonna be your Charizard Wise and things like that. Because I mean, Charizard is super fast, hits like a truck.
The
Once the
GOAT.
sun goes up, we're getting heat wave spams over and over. So, Gengar is another one that super fast, and plus, there's very few like abilities. Like Intimidate's one of them. Levitate is one of them. But Shadow Tag, being able to trap something in, is one of the most premier and frustrating things to deal with. So Gengar already having that Ghost and Poison type and hyper offensive, even though it would have been better if it still had Levitate, but Shadow Ball, Sludge Bomb, automatically big, they're always going to be in meta. Fantastic. So you have a lot of options there, and of course, to reference again, the GOAT, Wolfie, one of his big things has always been Perish Song. And that's something you could see with the Gothitelle, and that will create so much havoc because it's one of the hardest archetypes to play against. So then Dragonite, of course, right now, everybody's kind of just trying to figure out what they're going to use it for. Do they want to kind of go like, more like sustained damage, or they do we want to blow through things as fast as possible? So Dragonite's a very interesting one. Tyranitar's always been kind of like, hey, I need help. I do a lot of damage. I can set up dragon dances, things like that, but I do need some support. So it's very like in the middle, more like a balanced team, balanced offense. So those are the type of things you want to see. And of course, Metagross is one of the kings of balance because it can create that fairy steel dragon typing, which is very easy to do. And plus, having psychic moves is always nice. Zen Headbutt is something you can go throw in there. It does learn Earthquake. The coverage is immaculate, and plus one of the better shinies in the game. So a lot of different ways you can go with that, but a lot of the times you're gonna see, especially whenever a format just starts, it's hyper offensive. People don't want to think too much. They want to like, hey, I'm gonna heat wave spam. If you can stop it, sure, but I'm trying to get you out of here as soon as possible so I don't have to think too much. But then you have the vets who are always gonna go balanced because it gives them a wide array of like, no matter what archetype they run into, okay, I have tools for this. I just have to, as I play the game, I can learn and know what for to bring to beat you.
Exactly, and things like wide guard exist and everything. Strategy really comes and flourishes, within those first moments, because then we could, get a good gauge on the metagame.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the one thing about balance, like it goes two different ways. There's the normal balance, and then there's trick room balance. And trick room, of course, is if you've done any VGC or even watch VGC, that is the number one thing you're going to see. You're always going to see a trick room option with at least two mods being able to dominate in trick room. Like these last couple years, it's of course been Porygon 2, which is completely valid. Eviolite, it's just one of the premier trick room setters. In past formats, we've seen Cresselia, being able to set Trick Room with Ursaluna. So there's a lot of different ways you can kind of run it. It just kind of, you always want to just give yourself the most amount of options, especially versus like hyper offense. Trick Room usually just like, oh, okay, cool. I can withstand that first hit, and these next these next 4 turns, I'm gonna put you through the ringer. If you have enough after, hey, you know what? Shake my hand, I'll sign the match slip. But Trick Room is one of those things I just always know, even no matter how hyper offensive it will always come back down. Once the dopamine is gone, everybody settles into like a consistent gameplay.
Can't really forget about the weather teams. We got Sun, we kind of talked about that with Charizard Y. We do have Rain, which is my personal favorite. And then we have Sand. You know, the reason I like Rain is the Swift Swim ability allows you to attack fast, or it doubles your speed, something like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like that's always gonna be like, weather battles are always like really fun. They are very it's like the perfect mix of hyper offensive and balance, because one of my favorite archetypes and one of the premier archetypes throughout history has been something called Japan Sand, which is Excadrill Tyranitar. And then cool, the back end I have a lot of balance, you know, because I have the steel type, I have the ground type, with the rock type, with the dark type, and then you just kind of like do some balance. You throw a Rotom in there, you throw a Rotom with like support Rotom with like Will-O-Wisp, you throw a grass type in there. So Japan Sand is always going to be amazing. When it comes to weather teams, like Slush Rush is also a thing, because snow is now like, or hail is like a valid thing now, because ice typings get that defensive buff. So now it's actually like a thing. So a Ninetales setting screens and having any Slush Rusher, you can use Fossils or you can use Beartic, anything like that really makes this a new type of game to play. And plus, not just that, the immediate changes to the mechanics where I immediately get the boost upon entry is a huge dynamic to the game that's been going on for a while. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of, you know, sand teams or hail teams or water teams come through. But a lot of the times it'll be sun, because hopefully, which I expect him to be there, my boy Venusaur will be back, and he's gonna shake it, you know, do a little sleep powder every first turn. And hey, if you have goggles, that's cool, but you got to call the right slot. I mean, but everyone's like, oh, I can go in with fake out. Well, there's a thing called covert cloak now, so somebody's taking a nap regardless.
That is kind of crazy. I like the fact that there's a bunch of tools here and there now.
I mean, it took us a long time to get here, so it's really dope that there's a lot of counterplay, and I think that's what makes the game much better now, because before it was closed team sheet, and there's still a debate about like, oh, whether closed team sheet is made, you know, where things were like harder or easier between open team sheets. But I think to put everything on an even playing field, to make the game more consistent, regardless if you're a new player or an old player, having the open team sheet and being able to still play that chess game, to just know to make the correct moves. And you still, like, regardless if you have the information, you have to click into the right slots. You have to like know what I'm potentially having in the back to switch in to counter whatever you think you're going to do that turn. So I do like that you can see all the information, you can make the moves accordingly, so it's like a proper chess game, instead of just like, oh, here's a surprise thing you couldn't see before because of closed team sheet.
No, exactly. I feel like open is the way to go, because like just like you mentioned, it is a like kind of like a chess match there, and you know, there's a lot of like mind games there, as well as going in blind. It's just like, I'll go my strategy, whatever, but in this way, you know, a lot of the mind games, oh, does he play this, or you know, you really get, I don't know how to say it, but like punished for overthinking too much, or you know, if you just play your game, this and that. So
yeah, it's very much so a thing. You can get punished for overthinking sometimes, but I mean, that's what the game is all about. You can make reads, but then there's over reads, so you have to just make sure you're just putting, no matter what, finding the neutral play that will always like gain you some momentum into the next couple plays, you know, putting yourself in the right position where you can potentially make defensive pivots, finding that hard line of like, you know what, objectively, this is the best play for me. Like, you no matter what, you have to go in there with your strategy and be like, you know what, I'm going to impose my will. It may seem like I'm losing positioning, but I know what the end game looks like, because I'm setting up my chessboard to like, oh, you have to do this to counter this, and then this is where I take the momentum here. So at the end of the day, you still gotta click the buttons no matter what, if you see my information or not.
Facts. And that's how it usually goes. And Let's go into like, the Pokemon that are literally not gonna be that good for Mega Evolution.
Oh, well, listen. I know there's gonna be some people out there who love Lucario, but Lucario is just not one of them. It's not. Let's just keep it a buck. It never has, never will be. Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're not
Like
talking
it looks
about
cool.
the ZA one yet because we have yet to see what it could do. But we are talking about the regular one.
Oh yeah, in general, I just it's just never been good enough to be like, oh, I'm going to use my Mega for this. It's just not worth it. Scizor, I love Scizor dearly, but it is so niche, and still just can drop to any move. And of course, Intimidate being a thing, Fire being very common, Will-O-Wisp being very common. Like, I love it, but it's just unfortunately very, very hard to make happen. I know some people are probably going to look forward to like Garchomp, but Garchomp's never been good. It's not going to be good. Like there's other things that have that ground typing that are much better in that place. Regardless if we can use the new Mega or not. Let's just keep it a buck. It's just not good. And that's okay. That's okay. Now, controversial opinion, I mean, Feraligatr's not gonna be good either. I'm sorry. Like I mean, I could see people trying to make it work with a Trick Room team, but I'm like, I could do so much more. Like with other things. If I want a water type, I want something that has sustainability, not my main damage dealer, because if my main damage dealer takes a chunk of damage, I'm at a disadvantage. So I just don't think it's that good. I mean, you could try to pair it, of course, with things that'll heal it, but are you really gonna put that much resources to one Pokemon? Where I'm just like, no, I'd rather like stretch out and make sure I have more balance. I can win in other ways. I mean, we already know some of these other ones. Like, I mean, what is it? Hydrapple. Like, let's be honest. Let's be
Right.
for real. Let's be for real. Tyranitar is. I mean, I love Tyranitar. It's very niche. It can work, but it does take a lot. It's the same problem that Feraligatr has, but Tyranitar has had a proven history where even if you don't Mega it, it's good on its own. So that's okay. Kangaskhan, unfortunately, with the nerf, Kangaskhan hasn't been as good as it could have been like way back in the day. So I don't think Kangaskhan, even though like it's fine, it's okay, I don't think it'll get a lot of play just because you could do more with less, you know? And unfortunately, Kang just really isn't like as good as it used to be. It is nice for initial interactions, like the first time it hits the board, but literally you have to keep it there, and after that, it doesn't really do much after. So you're basically just gonna like, hey, I'm gonna get as much damage as I can with this, and then after that, I'm gonna play with 3 Mons. I don't know if I want to do that. I'm not gonna lie to you. That sounds difficult.
Yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah, Chespin I think really just depends on like what the ability is actually going to be. I don't know if we have that confirmed, but like that, I think that'll, because like even now you still see Chespin around. Very niche, but it has a place. It really does. Just because like in the regular Chespin does have I believe it's bulletproof, so it can't get hit by like Shadow Ball and things like that. So it does have a place, and of course it learns Iron Defense and Body Press. So it does have a place for a setup. I don't know if necessarily you'd want to use your Mega as kind of like a setup like that unless you have the proper support. But it's one of those things I can see somebody setting it up under some Tailwind or Trick Room type of instances, and then just okay, I'll Body Press the rest of your team. I have a Grass move, so there's a lot of useful ones, but then there's ones that we just know aren't going to get a lot of play.
Who knows? They might get a buff, but if they don't, expecting to be sitting where they're at right now.
Yeah, which hey, you know, you look cool, you're great for playthroughs, you're just not great for competition, and that's what Champions is all about.
Try to aim for the top, you know?
Exactly, and I think Champions is really, a lot of the VGC community has been championing for something like this for a long time. This separation where the competitive was always tied to the mainstream game, and for the longest time, I think VGC has very much so outgrown it, and it's I'm glad to see them take this step forward and actually be like, yeah, we're gonna take it as seriously as you guys think it should be, because it is. A lot of people spend a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of money to compete because they want to be the best. I mean, I have, and even now, it's gotten way more advanced than it used to. Now it's like a real, like, you have to dedicate to the grind. So I'm glad, like with Worlds, the way they're kind of like making it an event like it should be, and Champion being strictly for the competitive aspect is really like giving everybody that security they need to invest in. Like, hey, I want to be the best. Are you guys like caring about this game? And it seems like Pokemon's finally decided that yeah, we have.
Now I'm kind of glad we're also there, you know, because what my prediction is, Generation 10 and all future installments is basically just going to be like what Legends ZA and Legends Arceus is. They're just gonna focus on different type of gameplay while, you know, playing the game. While you could transfer it into Champions, and Champions becomes the actual traditional battle turn style that we all grew up, you know, loving.
Yeah, I really do think that is how they're going, and I love that because now I can just like I don't have to buy another game just to compete. I can just play this, and I love the fact that you can. Not only can you do it on Switch, you can do it on your phone. Like we're in a mobile age, so the fact that you can access Champion on your phone and play in tournaments and things like that, I think is the greatest adaptation because VGC's always had a very strict barrier of entry. You had to have a Switch or you had to have a DS, and it was like this game can grow if people had more access to it. Now more than ever, social media has really brought a light to it, and people want to play. So this is the chance to potentially really put numbers at a staggering amount because if you've been to an event, one of the biggest barriers to entry right now for an event is getting to sign up, getting a spot, because we do share the space with like TCG and Pokemon Go, and there's just not enough space for VGC. And I think with Champions, this potentially can change that, and we may, I don't know, at least maybe not a separate area, but at least a bigger space, because on average, TCG can get at least minimum 1,400 people, and VGC it can get there because the amount of people that sign up, if they've ever released the numbers, it's almost matching TCG. So now we can potentially have like a hey, the numbers show what needs to be done. So let's get a bigger space and allow VGC to grow and stop closing down these tickets because you won't need the docks anymore for the Switch because hey, if I can just roll up with my phone, I'm rolling up with my phone. Just make sure you have a charger for me. That's it.
Exactly.
I'll bring my own cable. If you have ports, cool. If as long as I can just like be able to be in the building and I don't need to be hindered by a dock or anything, I'll figure it out. Just give me, let me sign up. Let me get in there.
No, I'm glad that Champions is definitely coming out and gonna be more accessible to everybody. It just makes everything so much better.
We've waited for this for a long time, so I'm kind of happy it's happening now. And I know a lot of my VGC friends and homies that have been waiting for this, they are rejoicing. They, you know, it's the Vince Carter meme. You know, he's just waiting for this, you know, for so long, and now it's time. So I'm looking forward to like what April will bring. We know Worlds is definitely going to be Champions. Now Orlando Regionals is coming up here in April, and then you know Champions is also coming up in April. So we was kind of hoping that might be the first ever Champions Regional, but it looks like there might not be enough time. So I'm assuming the next one after Orlando would probably be the first Champions format. But like we still don't know what mods are available. You know, we only know it's going to be called Regulation MA, so we still don't know too much yet. But I'm looking forward to it.
Nah, for sure. But we definitely covered all of the megas for right now with the information that we have. And with that, I feel like would be a good way to close this out. Any last debates or any topic?
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, regardless if you're playing to be the best or you're just playing just to at least, you know, just see what it is, go out there and have fun. Like, that's the most important thing. I think a lot of people get a little too caught up in the sweat and forget to have fun. Pokemon has an amazing community, especially in VGC. You can meet a lot of great people, and that's one of the things I always be grateful for Pokemon for. I've met some people that I will know for the rest of my life now that are integral in my life because of Pokemon. So at the end of the day, you can compete hard, but don't forget to have fun and meet some new people. It's a beautiful time for VGC, and I actually can't wait. I'm kind of like, now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, I haven't played an event in a while. I need to go, man. I miss it.
Facts. I do agree with all that.
I appreciate you having me on, though.
Anytime.
It's also been fun to reminisce.
Also, check him out in Twitch,
I'm
and
everywhere.
on TikTok, and I'll post all his socials in the description. Go follow him. All right, then. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.